Hi, it's Kim Fairminer. Welcome to your March astrological update. I'm a little late. I guess that's fairly typical considering we're still under the guise of Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde tends to slow things down and time gets a little fuzzy. It's really easy to be late for things and to double book yourself and things like that. Right now, Mercury is in that very first degree of Pisces, and he's just about to pop over into Aquarius. So look for that shift later today. The other shift that's about to happen, we've had Venus in Aries for quite some time, and well, the last about 3 weeks, and that's made relationships, I guess, a little bit tetchy. We're less inclined to want to cooperate with other people, and we're more inclined to assert what we want. And so there's a little bit of discomfort there with Venus in Aries. She wants to do her own thing there, and you know, she's a little bit more comfortable finding that comfort within herself. It's more important than finding it in the relationship. So there's just a little bit less give and a bit more friction there in just interpersonal interaction in general. So Venus will shift into Taurus on the 5th, and that is going to be a smooth, soft landing. And with all the weird stuff going on in the world right now, I could use a bit of comfort. And it's perhaps with this in mind that Australians are buying up toilet paper by the truckload. It is insane here at the moment. And I guess, you know, I like to have a lot of toilet paper in my house as much as the next person. It gives me a wonderful feeling of security. And Taurus is a sign that likes to feel comfortable and secure. Ruled by Venus too. She's got a real natural desire to create sensual and material comfort in the sign of Taurus, and that's why Venus rules Taurus. Like, there's a natural affinity between the planet in that sign. So where that house is in your chart, wherever you've got Taurus, you can expect some incoming comfort, rather than this kind of I wouldn't say abrasive energy at the moment, but it's just not quite as relaxed. It's a little bit more fiery and sparky and exciting. It's not that calm, drop down, like relaxed feel of Venus in Taurus. So I hope in just a couple of days' time, Australians will stand in their lounge room at home and admire the giant mountains of toilet paper that they've collected and realize it's enough. It's enough, people. You'll be fine for the next year probably with what you've bought up in the last week. Things are a little bit weird though at the moment, as you will have guessed from the news, your social media feed, the general feel on the supermarket shelves. It's just like kind of like a bit strange. It's almost like that Venus at the end degrees of Aries has put us on a war footing to ensure our future comfort should this nasty virus kind of, I don't know what it's going to do. And really nobody knows. And that is part of the problem, which brings us to the next kind of block, the 8th to the 10th of March, and that's the lead up to the full moon in Virgo. So yeah, the moon is like waxing to fullness, emotions are heightening, and you know, we're still a few days out from the full moon now, so I can only imagine how emotional and kind of instinctively reactive we're gonna get leading up to the full moon. There's a lot of worry there, and it's being fed by stories, by the general feel of the collective narratives as well. The sun is approaching conjunction with Neptune in Pisces, so Neptune is linked to contagion. And Pisces, the boundaries of that sign, Pisces, like the gift of Pisces is its compassion, its openness, its understanding, its ability to reach into those imaginal realms and bring it to earth. So with the sun coming into conjunct Neptune, that notion of individuality is dissolving. And yeah, when, you know, we're becoming aware that we're not just individuals. Like, we are not fully contained, like, unto ourselves. We can catch germs from other people. We rely on the supply chains to put the toilet paper in the shops so we can, you know, shove it in the spare room for months and months at a time. Like, where I read somebody referred to us as, like, we live in a herd. We rely on other people. We're social creatures. And with that comes benefits and potential risks. And I think at the moment we're seeing how stories can go viral. Like, and I think the stories that we're telling ourselves, that we're sharing our fears, our sense of lack, and our reluctance to rely on other people and share equally. Like, we're kind of hoarding. It's like, oh, my son wants all this toilet paper, and you know, I'm going to put up boundaries, you know, so you can't, like, you know, seep in to my little solar world. It's a really weird time. I mean, you know, it's important to protect ourselves from those physical germs, but it's the social consequences of that I think are having the greatest impact on our mental and emotional health at the moment. Because remember, Mercury, when he's retrograde in the sign of his detriment in Pisces, he's not functioning very well. Like, there's not much objective thinking happening for us right now. And even when Mercury gets out of Pisces and goes back into Aquarius tomorrow or later today, he's going to be sitting stock still on 28 degrees for a whole week from the 7th to the 14th of March. And that's the full moon week. And the full moon is in Virgo, which is a Mercury sign. So this Mercury is, like, stuck there. And I think that's going to, Aquarius is a fixed sign, so people are going to have a really kind of fixed idea of what's going to happen and, like, what's my plan. But you're really planning around illusion. The sun and the moon are always opposite each other in the zodiac at the time of the full moon. And at that solar end of the full moon opposition, the sun's still going to be really close to Neptune on the 10th. And that just fills us with illusions and kind of soaking up the zeitgeist, like everything that everybody's thinking. They're beaming out this information, and that sun conjunct Neptune is just soaking it up, and we're trying to discern things and be practical about it. And apparently the most practical thing we can do is hoard toilet paper. It is really, really weird. Anyway, so there are some other clues there. In amongst all that, as soon as Venus comes into Taurus, she meets with Uranus. There's some good information there. A little bit of social distancing, perhaps, like, you know, calling people, having a virtual coffee instead of meeting them. And, you know, like, if you're scared about germs, putting some social distance in place is a really good way of protecting yourself. Buying trolleyfuls of toilet paper is not. Anyway, I should probably stop talking about toilet paper, but it's just, like, really something that is playing out, you know, the things that's showing up in my social media feeds and, you know, in the news and stuff, which I do try to avoid. But even with my limited consumption of mainstream media, when you go to the shops to try and buy some basics and the stuff's not there, like, that is confronting because you're used to seeing that stuff there. Anyway, that's all I'm going to talk about. Yeah, no, it's not. You know, I'm going to talk more about that. I just can't help myself. Like, you know, as much as I wish I was, like, separate from it and objective, I'm a Pisces rising person. So, like, my experience of the world is very much immersed in you know, what's going on in the collective consciousness at the moment. And yeah, very few of us are so far removed from that and so contained. Perhaps a few lucky Saturnian types have those beautiful boundaries up. But yeah, I am putting boundaries in place to protect my emotional psychic field as best I can from that kind of leaky sharing weirdness that is happening at the moment. And really, like, hold on to your hats for the next week, people. Like that run up to that mid-month, like at least until the 14th, but really peaking around the Virgo full moon. And remember, Virgo is a sign really concerned about hygiene and diet, like what you put in your body, and what you're exposed to. Like it's a sensitive sign, it's refined. And I think about the ways that you can refine your consumption of social media would be helpful. Really think about what you do need in your house and how much is too much. And perhaps Venus in Taurus isn't going to be too helpful there, but I guess eventually people's houses are going to be heaving with long life milk, pasta and rice. Yeah, but you know, we'll wake up from the absurdity of it all and realize it's not practical to hold this much business. So that's the run up to the full moon. There's I'm going to pop out an email to my lovely email subscribers, and yeah, write a little bit on social media about my full moon thoughts in a little bit more detail there, if you prefer to consume slowly, in writing. That will be coming out very soon. So after that, we'll hopefully breathe a bit of a sigh of relief and get a bit more of a grip on what's reality and what's fantasy, what's practical and what's delusional. That's kind of like what's going on in that Pisces Virgo spectrum. So from the 16th of March, oh yeah, just to go with the full moon, Mercury stations direct then too. So it's just going to be like so much fun. Just take a step back, observe, and we'll all be fine. Yeah, so Mercury stations direct around the full moon, and then by the 16th of March, he'll be back into Pisces. And this is from the end of Mercury retrograde. Mercury is going over the degrees that he covered when he was retrograde. So this is like he went forward, he went back during the retrograde, and now he's going forward back over those same degrees and kind of on cleanup duty after all the strangeness that, you know, we've been dealing with. Off the wall dreams, I've been seeing so many of those and hearing about that from friends. I've actually been sleeping like a log, which has been a beautiful blessing for me, and I think that's down to doing a little bit more exercise. I've taken up a dance class, which has just been wonderful. So yeah, fitting that into my life has been kind of my Mercury retrograde thing, and remembering to press record. All those little details that kind of fall away during the Mercury retrograde and make us think about things that are otherwise automatic. So from the 16th of March, people are going to be looking around going, holy moly, I bought a lot of supplies. It's going to take me a long time to consume all this. And yeah, like things that went missing, if you lost anything during Mercury retrograde, you're likely to recover it after the 16th of March. And perhaps, you know, if you had miscommunications with people, missing packages, you know, like misunderstandings, lost payments, that kind of thing, after the 16th, hopefully that will all come back together for you. And you know, Mercury doesn't love to be in Pisces, but you know, this is the chance to kind of put those pieces back together and make some sense of really a lot of the disorienting experiences that we've had during this Mercury retrograde. It's been quite a doozy for me. The big news though, March is just so exciting. Like there's so much happening, like, you know, astrologically and like here on Earth, it's just off the wall really. Yeah, who needs TV when this is going on in your world? Yeah, so around the 22nd, 23rd of March, depending, you know, which time zone you're in, the huge news, bigger than all that other news we've just talked about is Saturn going into Aquarius. Now, Saturn just is popping a toe in March, and I think he comes back out in July, if I'm remembering correctly, where he'll dip back into Capricorn before settling into Aquarius, you know, kind of a bit more longer term in December. But what happens later this month, 22nd, 23rd, Saturn goes into Aquarius for the first time. This is big news. That area that you've been working in Capricorn, like you're kind of done. And you get like a bit of a reprieve. And then the, you know, the discipline of Saturn, the long-term planning of Saturn, and, you know, that contraction and consolidation that we've gone through with Saturn in Capricorn shifts to a different house in your chart, into the house occupied by Aquarius. And you'll notice a, you know, a freeing up in that Capricorn house to a degree. There's still some gnarly activity there. And like a bit of a shift in your attention to that house of Aquarius, where a lot of action is going to be happening in 2021. So you get kind of like a little bit of a taster of what's finishing up and what's gearing up. So this is kind of like your a preview, I guess, a preview, a taster, a little bit of a your first degustation dish of Saturn in Aquarius. Also, as Saturn's going into Aquarius, Mars is conjunct Pluto at 24 degrees Capricorn. Now, that's a real hotspot in Capricorn, those few degrees. So, like, something could flare up that you've been dealing with in recent months. But, like, you're kind of going to deal with it different, probably with a bit more distance. Yeah, a little bit more space around that. Like, you know, it could potentially be a little bit explosive, this news in Capricorn. Mars is like a spark, Pluto's like a bomb. Something could go off there. But Saturn in Aquarius, Capricorn is a Saturn ruled sign, so like it's got dominion, I guess, over that that area of your life. And Aquarius is a cool intellectual air sign. It's a fixed sign, but it's airy, so it gives a lot of objectivity and a degree of emotional distance, whereas Capricorn's a little bit kind of hard-nosed and material because it's a cardinal earth sign. Like, so there's a distinct shift from earth to air, from cardinal to fixed. So we're looking to pin down concepts in Aquarius rather than start up, you know, real world, tangible activities, building activities, money-making activities. That's Capricorn's domain. Aquarius is more about ideals and social interaction, the exchange of ideas. So that happens while we are in the balsamic moon, like just before the new moon, on the 24th of March. So, you know, like March is gonna feel like a lifetime. It's just amazing what's happening in March. So we get a new moon in Aries. I don't think I'll go too much into that. Just like, you know that you've got a new moon in Aries. So check out that the house in your chart that is occupied by Aries, because that will give you an idea of where new things are starting. I will write about that and yeah, send that out to my gorgeous email subscribers and pop it on social media as well. Right at the end of the month, we have Mars coming into Aquarius. Mercury's out of shadow at 13 degrees Pisces, and this is real fresh energy to take us into April. I should have mentioned too, we've got like the astrological start of the year in there just before Saturn goes into Aquarius. Like, there is just like so much to talk about. I might have to do another video. I think I will. Yeah, and on the 31st of March, Mars is conjunct Saturn at 0 degrees Aquarius, which is the same degree of the conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter that happens in December, which is like the big news as far as you know, social civilization, communities, nations, mundane astrology. That all happens at the very end of the month. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. And I think after this full moon, I'll pop back in and I will do March part 2, because I think it really is going to feel like, you know, like that full moon energy, that waxing, that rising crescendo. And then I think I want to look a little bit closer at the Aries ingress and the ingress of Saturn into Aquarius. It deserves its own thing. And yeah, I'm in a little bit of a flurry. You know, have I got enough toilet paper? I just don't know. I am actually fine. Okay, I hope you're fine too. I hope you'll take the time to take some deep breaths and take a bit of a step back and, you know, look after your neighbors, look after your family, check in with them, make sure they're okay. All we really need to do is just wash our hands and take a little bit of extra care with, yeah, where we're coughing, where we're wiping our fingers, and, you know, don't lick any strangers. Ciao.